So just around the corner from here, there's a park. And in that park, there is a statue of our next inductee, William Cullen Bryant. And as a testament to the enduring appeal of William Cullen Bryant, I have to add that I was in my gym, and I was talking to one of the trainers about tonight's event, and I mentioned I was coming here, and the inductees, I said William Cullen Bryant, and he said, I love Thanatopsis. So with us tonight to induct into the Hall of Fame, William Cullen Bryant is one of his other biggest fans, Harrison Hunt.
Thank you. I'll see you later for the name and address of that trainer. Now, most New Yorkers only identify William Cullen Bryant as the guy for whom the park is named. But I'm here to give you a little more of an idea of what he did. William Cullen Bryant was born in Cummington, in western Massachusetts, in 1794. He earned his reputation as America's first significant poet while still in his 20s, with the publication of two works, Thanatopsis, which was a rumination on death and nature, and To a Waterfowl, which some scholars regard as the finest short poem in the English language. Bryant's poetry, along with James Fenimore Cooper's novels and Washington Irving's short stories, showed the old world that our young American nation could create a literature of its own. Now, Bryant moved to New York in 1825 to edit a literary magazine, and the following year became editor of the New York Evening Post newspaper, a job he held for the rest of his life. In his 83 years, William Cullen Bryant authored numerous books of poetry, 3 popular travelogues, translations of the Iliad and the Odyssey, and volumes of his addresses at civic occasions. He also edited Picturesque America, a highly successful pictorial overview of the nation, a multi-volume history of the United States, and an edition of Shakespeare. I just want to mention he was also an avid horticulturalist and probably the only American poet to develop a variety of pear. And it's in the Cedarmere book. Now, when he was editor of the Post, it was the most liberal newspaper in the city. And certainly the biggest. You got your 4 cents worth back then. Now, Bryant used its pages to champion the Hudson River School of Art, the creation of Central Park and the Metropolitan Museum of Art, free trade, and workers' rights to unionize, just to give a few examples. He was an outspoken opponent of slavery and one of Abraham Lincoln's earliest supporters in the Empire State. But he was not afraid to challenge the president on issues when Bryant thought he was wrong. And Larry Kramer, I want to mention that Bryant accepted and supported his lesbian aunt and his lesbian daughter, and if he were alive today, he'd be standing with you. William Cullen Bryant is largely forgotten today, overshadowed by more modern poets such as Walt Whitman, but he richly deserves inclusion in the New York State Writers' Hall of Fame. My wife Linda and I thank the committee for inducting him and give a special acknowledgement to Ira Matetsky, our friend who encouraged and supported Bryant's nomination. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Claudia Godwin Goddard, And William Cullen Bryant is my great-great-great-grandfather. I'm so pleased that Harrison Hunt invited me to this event, and I want to thank the Empire State Center for the book and the New York Library Association for inducting William Cullen Bryant to the Hall of Fame. And it's such an honor, and on behalf of the Bryant family, we thank you for including him. Mr. Hunt gave a very nice overview of Bryant, and I guess what I want to say is, as a poet, but also as a journalist, he realized as America was getting bigger and more industrialized, that there was such an important part for nature to be in everyone's lives. And when he visited the great cities of Europe, he saw that they had parks. And so he thought New York was going to be a great city and New York should have a park. So using the forum of the Evening Post and his editorials, he pushed for the park. He got the contest going to choose the architect, and gathered all the forces that were necessary in the government and the fundraising, all to make Central Park happen, which was such a huge undertaking. I mean, imagine, it's a nearly 900-acre park. And it is truly one of the things that makes New York great. And it was his writing that started, and his love for nature. And so I want you all to just think of all the influence that Bryant has all over Manhattan. I mean, it's not just Central Park, but also he was one of the founders of the the Metropolitan Museum of Art. And also, if you walk by Cooper Union in Astor Place downtown, that's where Bryant introduced New York to the presidential hopeful Abraham Lincoln. So there's quite some influence of him felt all over, and of course that's why he got the park around the corner on 42nd Street. So I guess the biggest thing I want to say as Bryant's great-great-great-granddaughter is that maybe for some of you over a certain age, you might have read some of Bryant's poems, or maybe one of your teachers forced you to in high school or so. I would like to invite you to say, forget all that, you're all older now, and it's time to go back and read Bryant's poems because they're so incredibly beautiful. To a Waterfowl, you can start with that one, or The Rivulet. And most of all, read his titanic poem, Thanatopsis, which I still can't believe he wrote when he was approximately 18. Unbelievable. And Thanatopsis is a very evocative and very moving contemplation on the end that awaits us all. And after you've read Thanatopsis, I'd like you to take a walk in Central Park by yourself in a quiet part of the park. There are quiet parts of Central Park. And after you've read the poem and walked in Central Park, think of him and you will understand. Thank you.